Welcome to the Who's Next Let's Go show. I'm your host, Mike motherfucking Johnson. I've been in 3 industries over the last 30 years, including real estate, automotive, and restaurant service. Each week, my guests and I will be sharing the stories that make us say, you can't make this shit up. So take a break from the mainstream bullshit and join me for another exciting episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. Welcome to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show, sponsored by who'snextletsgo.com and the Back Porch Brewing Company. Today's episode is going to reference the restaurant business. A buddy of mine, Pat, we've been friends for 150 years, and we used to work together at a place in Bradenton Beach that we will not name, but it was an awesome place to work and
Called
really good
bar,
times. Without further ado, we're going to introduce today's guest, Pat. Mr. Pat, welcome to the show, and we also have Mr. Mario. ¿Qué te pasa, güey?
¿Qué pasa, pendejo?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you, and we can't ever forget my buddy Cliff, who is the producer of this whole program and makes the whole thing tick. Appreciate it, Cliff. So, Pat, you and I'm sure we have a bunch of stories to tell because we worked together for a few years.
Yeah, we had some good times.
Really
I was
great.
worried when you approached me about this because it was like 20 plus years ago, and I drank a lot back then. And I probably drank a lot since then. So I was worried if I was going to remember any of them. You know, that was the biggest problem I was worried about.
So Pat and I, when we'd go up to work the next day after we maybe have stayed a little past closing and had a few beers, and Pat'd go, man, I'm tired. I'm tired. That was our code word for hungover as a bitch. It was terrible.
Some things haven't changed, boys.
No, it has changed. The times have changed. So we start at 5 and we're done by like 9 because we're old now, as opposed to starting at 9 and finishing at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, Pat, I got a restaurant story that I have never shared with you or you, Mario, and it's pretty funny, and we'll start there just because it's hysterical, and I remember it, and I don't remember a lot of stories because, as you said, we drink a lot.
Yeah.
But I do remember this particular story because it makes me laugh hard every time I think about it. So, I'm bartending, before I met you, I'm bartending down in South Florida. And a big nightclub, huge, packed full of, probably 800 to 1,000 people every single night. And so back in the day, they used to call immigration services INS.
La migra.
Yes, right. So I'm working in this, they have this, like I said, 800 to 1,000 people, and they have a main bar, which me and 2 of my buddies worked, and then they had some satellite bars everywhere else. And some of the people that work there, and they taught me the little bit of Spanish I know enough to get arrested. So if you ever need to get arrested, call me. I can get you out of a Mexican jail. So they taught me all this Spanish, and we were having a good time because a lot of them didn't speak English, but that worked there, like the bar backs and different things. So, and I never bothered. I'm 20 years old. I could give a shit if they're in the country legally or not. I just didn't care. We were just having fun and making money. So that was never an issue. So I made friends with all these guys. Okay. And one day, INS, about midnight, place is packed, 1,000 people, music's going, DJ's going, and INS comes in with their jackets on, and they say INS in the back, and I look up, and it's me and the other 2 bartenders, and half the people are gone. What the fuck happened, everybody? So I don't think nothing of it. The club's still going, the music doesn't stop, and they round up a few people, and, it is what it is. So I'm looking, and obviously my buddy, who's been helping me with Spanish, he's not there. Can't find him. So I'm empty of ice, I need cups, I need different things, and my buddy's not there. So I go to get my own ice, and I grab the ice buckets, and 2 ice buckets, and you're going and you're trying to get this thing, and I go to open up the ice machine, and I hear, psst, oye, Miguel. And I'm like, what the f-? I scared the shit out of him, had no idea. He's in the ice machine, on the up in the ice machine, clinging to it like this, freezing his ass off. And this is like 45 minutes later, and I'm like, what? How the fuck did you get up there? So, and every day he scared the absolute shit out of me. And I'm like, man, get out of there. It's okay. It's like,
He didn't want to get around.
He didn't want to get go, no.
I didn't even know he was not supposed to be there. So I know now. But super nice guy. He was a middle-aged guy back then, too. Yeah. So, but super nice guy, and he was a hard-working bastard.
Sure.
And how he got up in there and hung on, because the walls are slick. Yeah. So he's like Spider-Man and shit.
It's okay to come out now.
Yeah, come on, man. I need some ice. Get the fuck out of there. I know you got some funny stories. I'm sure I was involved in 1 or 2 of them, but we'll get you started with it. What's the funniest thing you've ever seen in the real estate business?
Restaurant business, yeah.
The restaurant business.
Yep. Well, I guess I got to paint the picture of the time and place, because this restaurant I worked at in the Keys, it was a floating restaurant. It was a barge, a 60 by 30 foot barge that they built this like houseboat restaurant on, and it was like this old chalet looking thing, and plus it was right on Snake Creek, looking out over the ocean. Really classic place, great menu, had a really interesting clientele. But, back then, there's two types of people in the restaurant business. People that are there just to make money, and people that it's their profession, And at that point, I was just there to make money, because it was, we worked from like 5 to 10, and it was like a 5-hour shift. It was just like a interruption of our lifestyle, and we kind of worked the whole job into our lifestyle, because we'd be out and on the boats or at the bars during the day. Then we'd have to go into work for this 5 hours just to kind of pay the bills. We were smart enough to know that the job, it was an interruption, but it paid for the whole lifestyle.
So you couldn't go in too fucked up. You had to at least maintain
we
some-
tried, yeah. After a while, the owner, he got sick of us drinking all his liquor, so he made us start bringing in our own beer. We'd get a 5-gallon bucket and fill it with ice and fill it with beer and stick it in the back of my buddy's Jeep. And about, we started a 5 o'clock shift, by 8 o'clock, and it started winding down, we'd be out there drinking our own beer instead of his beer. So
pretty smart on his part. He knew you were going to do it, so he might
Makes
as well.
sense.
yeah. So, it's just kind of one of those places, and I've made some lifelong friends, that I still keep in touch with. And again, this was like about 1985 in the Keys, and that was a different period too, and a different, people dying different, so we took advantage of the whole situation. And I guess we had a lot of pranks. Like one time, this guy Carl, he's like, "Hey, can you guys come sing happy birthday to my table? It's their birthday." And we're like, "Oh, sure, Carl, we'll do that." And we picked on Carl a little bit, but, so we go up there, it's nice formal, we're in black tuxes and stuff. And we go up and we sing happy birthday. And then Paul and I just split. Carl's sitting there, all by himself.
A cappella.
But we did what he asked us if we could sing happy birthday. He didn't say to you, "Are you going to sing the whole song?"
Fair enough.
So
You ditched him after the first time.
And like this place, it just was like, in the Keys, there's some big money people there, real high, piano bar,
So this was
a lot
a
of
high-end-
gangsters.
This was a high-end joint.
Little high-end joint, yeah. We just, we basically took advantage. We were kind of, just, 22 and just living the life. Not so much. It was after that I made it into a career for a while. But, so I guess like one of the funny parts was what my buddy Tim, he was a waiter inside, and I was working the outside bar. And a friend of ours, Cuz, was in there having dinner with his girlfriend. And it was an expensive place, and the tab started getting up, so he wanted to help him out. So he was shuttling drinks from the bar outside where I worked at into the barge, which is the restaurant. And there's a nice ramp going down. There's 2 ramps that held it in place. And so a couple drinks, and Tim had quite a few by then. There's a sliding glass door that you'd have to open and close to go back in the back ramp, where you could sneak in the drinks around the management and everything. So he goes, he gets a tray of B-52s shots, Kahlua, Bailey's, all messy drinks. Forgot that he closed the slider. Goes down to serve them, rams into the slider.
Kaboom.
Kaboom.
Shit everywhere.
Shit everywhere. Barely knocked himself off. He almost fell in the drink.
And that would have been the classic.
That would have been a classic. That would have made the story even that much better. But, made quite a noise. The slider's off the track, so he's got to go the other way anyway. So,
And management
Did he get
found out.
Did he get busted?
they put up with us because back to the time and place, they needed anyone that could show up that was good. We were good at what we did, but
Yeah, that's kind of like now. You can't get anybody to show up.
Yeah, in the
Kind of
Keys
circle
especially.
all the
so.
way around. There is no surplus of people to work, that's for sure.
No.
So what's the most shocking story? Yeah, I'm sure you have a shocking story too. So I thought
this was pretty
you
fun.
referenced it a little bit to me earlier, so hoping
Well,
that's that story.
that's another one, yeah. The shocking story was at the beach bar where Mike and I actually worked way back when. And it was you can tell more about it too. It was a great outdoor location, kind of on the water. Place was pretty busy that night. We had a guitar player up there playing, him.
Oh,
and,
yeah. I used to get up and sing with him one song.
Yeah.
Pirate Looks at 40. And I'd get up every
That's
night
right.
and sing that song with him every night.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know you could sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's a good singer. He's an entertainer, yeah.
Yeah, entertainer. You wouldn't know from this show, but hey.
This is entertainment, so. The place is pretty busy. It's probably about 8 o'clock at night, and there's a lot of tables and people walking around on the patio and on the road out front too. And this one couple there at a table, and the guy comes up to the bar, and he's kind of the Asian hipster, probably 65, and sort of a throwback hippie from the 70s sort of look going on. And he pulls me over to the side of the bar, and approaches me over and says, "You know where I can get any weed?" So I was pretty straight-laced, always had been, So I'm like, I don't, but maybe let me ask around for you. So what I did was I went to the musician who I'd like to describe him as, he's kind of a cross between maybe Willie Nelson and Hulk Hogan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that together in your brain.
Is that a good description? I don't know.
That's a fair description.
He's a big guy. He's kind of loud and boisterous. Plus, he's talking through a PA system.
To give you an idea of the size, his son played football for Georgia Tech.
Okay.
So
he's a big guy.
he's a big guy.
Yeah.
So, and super nice guy, do anything in the world for you, but if he had a contact, if anybody would have had a contact for that sort of thing,
It
definitely would
would
have
have
been.
been that guy.
And this neighborhood at the time, now it's so overgrown and touristy and everything. It's $65 to park down there. That's how crazy it is.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. But before it was seedy.
Yeah.
If you will. So some of the
It was
you had
good.
the nice places, and then
Yeah.
you had
This place.
the place where all the seedy people would come, and then the restaurant workers would come there after they got off work too.
Now
it was a party scene, and it was a really fun place to work. But the dredges of society ended up at this bar
At
the
that-
time. And it was entertaining.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And this guy was the singer for all the dredges.
And
of
probably
society.
about 5 years prior to that, it was even a lot more seedier. So I kind of give that customer the benefit of the doubt that, probably 5 years ago, had he asked that to the bartender, whoever it was.
Yeah,
They probably would have been, sure, right here,
Hold on.
but, me.
That'd be $50.
Yeah. So it had that reputation. Anyway, so I called the musician over and said, "Hey, those people at 31, the guy asked me for, if I could get him some weed." So he's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll take care of this," So he started making sort of conversation with the people. "Hey, where are you from?" "Oh, Indiana," or whatever. And, he just kind of yells out. And my buddy Pat at the bar told me, "You're looking for some weed." Yells it over the PA, And this guy turns white as a ghost, is looking at me, and he just carried on for a while. "What you looking for? What kind of weed?"
In the microphone.
Through the microphone.
Through the
He's got a
microphone.
big voice anyways. He didn't even need the microphone, And there's everyone there.
So it was a tourist place
Yeah.
with the dredges of society.
Yes.
So the dredges of tourists would come there to mix with the dredges of society, and it was.
I think I've been there.
Yeah.
You know who I met there? Dickie Betts. First time I ever met Dickie
Dickie
Betts.
Betts, yep.
What is that?
He
Yeah.
comes in one night, I'm at the bar. You might have been there with me too.
Yep.
Because the entertainer didn't show that night for whatever reason, probably hungover like soup. I'm just hungover. So, you could tell because when he got up under there and you knew he had had a night before, boy, he was sweating like a hooker in church. Pouring off of him.
Yeah.
And so he comes in, Dickie Betts comes in, and I didn't know who he was, couldn't tell. Toothless fucker, you thought he was homeless the way he came in there. And he says, you mind, I see you got the setup over there. I brought my guitar. You mind if I sing a little bit? I don't give a shit as long as I'm making money. And he's killing it. just up there.
Oh, you think?
It just killing it. I mean, he's singing all the, and so I'm like, you know, he says who his name is, and I don't recognize the name. And then other people are going, I can't believe you got him to play. And I'm like, who? That guy? And I had no clue. And then finally somebody told me he was with the Allman Brothers. But I mean, he was absolutely just killing it, singing all the songs. And I was like, this guy's pretty good for no teeth. But he did. He knocked it out of the park, and he was having fun. He was just doing it for beer. You know, it's not like we solicited him or anything. He was just there. So it was awesome. I think he had more fun doing that because nobody really knew who he was except for a few people.
Were you there too when Tommy James came in?
Yeah, Tommy James.
Yeah. He kind of did the same thing. Was hanging out there for a couple days, and then all of a sudden he's up there singing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a really fun place to work. But it had its moments where it was less than fun.
It was good to leave it, you know. It was kind of the time and place where, you know, in
it was time to
the
go.
glory days of the restaurant business and being younger, it was a little more fun.
There was fights in there all the time. And
Yeah.
Like fist fights.
Fist fights.
Fist fights, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, don't look at my stature. I was involved in a few of these things.
Yeah. Mike was involved in one. Yeah.
They would look at me and think, who the fuck is this guy to throw me out? Next thing you know, they're in the street.
Yeah. There was a time that I was working. I think Mike was off, and there was a guy, probably about 6'6".
Big guy.
Big guy, big strapping man. He was in there with two girls, buying them drinks. They were really trashed. They were, and it was, I knew the tab was getting up there, and they were trying to leave and not pay. So I got to go over there and collect from this guy, and I'm not 6'6", you know. And
I had a few beers, but I was there. I was off, but I had a few beers and I was there, and I'm witnessing this whole thing going on.
This guy goes back, acting like he's going to punch me, which probably would have knocked me beyond silly.
Yep.
Soup sandwich silly, yeah. What happens then, Mike?
Out of nowhere, his hand is back here to hit my buddy Pat.
Yeah.
And like a bat out of hell, I come from the side. And next thing you know, he's on the ground. I've got him down. There's 4 or 5 people on top of me. We got this big fucker down, dragged him out front. And he's not used to that because he's 6'6" and 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Just a massive man. And I don't know what got into me, but I was there, right to the ground. And then everybody piled on top. And thank God, because if he'd have got up, if he'd have got up and got a hold of me, boy.
Did he pay the tab?
Oh, he paid the tab.
He did pay the tab, yeah.
The cops made him.
I think they,
Oh, they took him to jail.
Disorderly conduct,
Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, he went right to jail.
The funny part is 2 girls he was showing off for, they split right after Michael tackled them.
Gone.
They were gone, yeah.
Oh, you're not going to pay the tab? We're out of here. Oh, then you had another story about a snifter. I want to hear this one.
Well, yeah. This was at a pretty nice place, Longboat Key area. And, you know, you hear the horror stories about waiters spitting on food and cooks spitting on food. And I don't think it happens that often, you know, or things like that. I mean, most restaurant people are pretty decent, you know, they don't want to.
Just making a living.
Just making a living, yeah. And
that's all we were doing, having fun, making a living.
But there are some customers that just push you to the edge. And so this guy, he's a great waiter, a real professional. You know, knew his stuff. This was a nice restaurant, and he knew he was a good waiter. Knew food,
was a career
knew
guy.
wine. Yeah, so
All the etiquette, so he could.
he
could
knew it
present
all.
the wine.
He
could
gave
do it
him
all.
good service to give him this stuff, you know. But he had this one table, and there's this old lady there that was just riding him the whole night, and wasn't doing it to because of him or anything he was doing wrong, but I think it was more to show off to the other people at her table, you know, that
She was just
I'm going
a
to give this
bad
guy
human.
a crappy tip at the end of the night.
She's just
and
a
I'm gonna-
bad human. She wanted everybody to know she was rich.
Yeah.
I mean, those kind of people.
Okay.
So, you know, dinner goes on and she's, you know, sending food back and, you know, busting his chops the whole night, and he had just about had it. And then they got to the after dinner drinks, and she wanted a brandy. She wanted the brandy in a warm snifter. I have to have my brandy in a warm snifter. Okay?
Okay.
So,
Wait till you hear how he warmed it up.
yeah, so this waiter goes to the bar, gets the snifter, takes it back into the kitchen, pulls down his pants,
Warms it right up.
shoves his balls into the snifter, dancing around.
That warm enough for you, bitch?
Snifter. Keep in mind, this was late 80s before manscaping was a thing too, you know? So he's dancing around.
Oh, that's funny.
Pulls it out, brings up the bartender. They pour the shot in there, serves her the drink.
And it's warm.
In her warm snifter. Finally comes back to the table and, ma'am, how's your drink? She said, it's wonderful. Thank you so much. It was the only thing she liked the whole meal. You know?
Ma'am, did that taste like Gold Bond by chance?
I mean, after sweating in
But,
that
you
kitchen
know-
all night, and yeah.
Mario, when I talk about some people just fucking deserve it.
Yeah.
You deserve it, you deserve it.
Yeah.
Not
I
that
think
I'm a
it
fan of
doesn't
that.
happen a lot. You know, I don't
No,
think,
it doesn't.
yeah,
I
but
think everybody's paranoia about what people do to food and stuff in the restaurant. It's just that. It's paranoia.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and like you said, most of the folks in that business are great people, just trying to make a living. And there are two types of restaurant people. The people who are doing it to get by
Yep.
and make a living,
Yeah.
or the people who do it for a career. And some people make a really good living. If you look
Yeah.
at some of those high-end restaurants, they make $400, $500, $600 a night.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I
You know,
can't believe what I can't imagine what they're making these days. I mean,
Yeah, I
we
mean,
did great back then.
Oh yeah, we were making $300 or $400 a night
Yeah.
back in 20
And-
years ago.
having fun. Yeah.
Worked 3 or 4 nights a week.
I
and we
think
were
the
done.
restaurant business kind of crossed between blue collar and white collar workers. It's like the missing link, you know? It's like they wouldn't fit in on a construction site or a factory,
No.
you know, and they wouldn't fit in an office or a professional environment. So there's a restaurant, you know.
But
there's
the
their
problem with
space.
that is,
you.
yeah, I don't fit in anywhere. I don't even fit in my clothes. I'm so fat. So the problem with the restaurant business, what I found was that you didn't ever claim most of your money.
No.
So it was cash. That was back in the day. You know, I've since caught those taxes up.
Okay.
So if you go to buy like a house, you're screwed because it looks on
Yeah.
paper you made 20 grand a year, and you
Yeah.
might have made 200, but it's cash money.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't buy shit. You know, prove your income. Fun talking to you. Gotta go. Appreciate your time.
Yeah.
So but it was.
I'm sure these kids are cleaning up these days.
Well, and I think they've cleaned a lot of that IRS stuff. They're making them claim all their credit
Yeah.
card
Yeah,
tips.
oh yeah, they're doing that now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So-
And you know what? And that's the right thing to do.
Oh, 100%. You know, but back in the day when I was working at South Florida, you're making 500 to 1,000.
Yeah.
We would take we were more money than cents for sure. That was crazy. So we're making $500,000 a night. We're going to eat at Joe's Stone Crab, 10 of us on our night off, and we're running up a $5-6 grand bill over at Joe's Stone Crab.
Nice, yeah.
And just paying cash and tipping the shit out of the waiter because you pay it forward. So
Yeah.
if I was when I was working at the other place and coming to see you, I made good money. So Pat made good money, and
Yep.
it kind of just circulated around the restaurant business.
The key was trying to get that money home, you know, before you spent it all that night. You know?
I know Mike, none of his got home.
Well, at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's not a lot you can spend money on. There's a few things you can spend money on, but none of them are any good. So I made it home with most of it, only because it was 3 o'clock in the morning and there wasn't anything good you could do at 3 o'clock in the morning. And if you did find something good at 3 o'clock in the morning, you weren't taking no money home.
Yeah. Yep.
Zero. So it was good times in the restaurant business.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
You learn a lot from people in that industry because you get so many different types of people telling you different things, but it's not something I could have done long term for health reasons, if not anything else. I had to get out. So, and then I was blessed to go into the car business, and I actually managed a coffee water company had a coffee division. I managed that for a while.
Yeah.
I went to the car business, and then I went into what I'm doing now. So, but I needed that part of my life to learn about life.
Yeah.
Because when you leave
Great
and you're a
place to grow
young
up,
kid
yeah.
and you don't know anything about the world at all, the restaurant business is a great place to go learn about it. Good, bad, and the ugly. You learn
Yep.
about life.
Yeah,
So.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Grow up there, you learn a lot. I mean, how to deal with people. You can transfer those things into the other fields, but
Oh, you absolutely. But you again, the good, bad, and the ugly. So you don't transition. You leave all the bad.
Yep.
And then you bring the good. You extrapolate the good.
Yeah.
To go into your next career and take and every career. The car business has some shit going on, and you learn the good from that, and then you go into this business. So in this business, what I learned in those businesses has very much helped me in this business because you learn how to talk to people in the restaurant business.
Yep.
You learn how to negotiate in the car business, and then you can take both of those things. And in the real estate world, you have to talk to people and negotiate.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is building relationships. So that's
Yeah,
all
that's
this
great.
is. So, and relationships that last, because I've known you. I've known
it's
you
so good to see you too,
175,
Mike.
2,000 years.
My fault for not coming to see you.
Oh, man, we'll hook up for another beer. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
one story I do want to tell before we go is there was a dude that worked at this place him and I worked at, and he was a dick, hated him, just cocky guy. And things like bad things happen to people who deserve it. And so he's off one night, and he's in there, and he's just wearing Pat out and me out.
Okay, he's off, but he's in the restaurant.
Oh, it was a fun place. So when you were off, you went there.
Okay.
Because that's how fun the place was.
Okay.
So he's over there, and he's getting hammered, and he's wearing Pat and I out behind the bar, and he's got these tourist girls over there, and he's trying to impress them. So we had a chain because people would walk by people's tables. So we took this chain to separate the indoor and outdoor when the sliders were open, so people wouldn't go walking through people's tables. So he's all cocky one time, and he's trying to impress these tourist girls, and he tries to jump over this chain.
Yeah.
And he not only fell, he hit the ground face first, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I fucking laughed my ass off. Still laugh about it to this day. I mean, he had blood. It was awesome.
Yeah.
He was done.
He was done. And those girls were laughing so hard.
And they were done with him.
Oh, yeah. They were done with him before he got started. That just sealed the deal. I forget that dude's name. What a toolbag. Another funny story I thought of with you and I working. We had this guy. He was about your height, but he was huge. Rob. And he was married to one of the waitresses that worked at this place. And so super nice, both of them. Helped him move, just super nice. But this guy, Rob, if you messed with him and you flipped a switch, he was not the one. I mean, he had hands the size of,
Baseball.
oh, just huge.
Yes.
Skilled too.
So we're all drinking. We got off work one night. We went to this place across the street. It was even seedier than the place, completely seedy. And there's all the restaurant people who, after their restaurant closed, they went to our restaurant, and after our restaurant closed, they went to this place, who was open till all God knows what hours. So this one guy, he's in there, and his wife's in there, and we're all playing pool. And I'll never forget this long, and I've never seen anything like this. So we're all playing pool, and there's this other guy, and he was not a nice guy, boisterous, and just thought he was funny. So him and the guy, Rob, his wife and this other guy didn't get along very well from whatever previous restaurant they worked at or whatever. So this guy, the loudmouth guy, proceeds to call this guy's wife the C word.
Oh!
Not a sound ever came out of his mouth. But he leaned back, and I could have sworn he touched the carpet on his way back, is how far back he went. And he hit this guy in the mouth, and chiclets started flying. He had not a tooth. I mean, he knocked every tooth out of it. Blood everywhere. It was the hardest punch I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
And called my wife the C word. Yes, the guy deserved it.
Yeah.
Oh, I never knew what happened after that, but that guy probably didn't call anybody the C word ever again. I mean, every tooth in his mouth was gone.
Yeah.
Chiclets everywhere.
Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Deserved it. I mean, and she wasn't even talking to him at the time. Just inadvertently went up and said that to her. He didn't probably ever, if he ever talked again, I don't even know.
I didn't see him come around there much after that.
Come around there.
Yeah.
Crazy times, the restaurant business. We could tell restaurant stories for hours because I was in that business
It's remembering.
Yeah, it's remembering.
That's the hard part.
It is.
But
A little foggy.
The fog.
yeah.
This beer will do that to you. It makes y'all foggy.
Beer
and
is good
shit.
too here.
It's delicious. Well, everyone, I want to thank you very much for coming out to the Who's Next Let's Go show today, sponsored by who'snextletsgo.com and the Back Porch Brewing Company. I want to thank Mr. Pat for coming out and spending
Thanks
his
for having
time with us today and sharing some restaurant stories. Don't forget to please go to the Back Porch Brewing Company and tell them Mike sent you and have a cold beer. Their kitchen is now open, by the way, so please don't forget to stop by and have a little meal. Thanks so much. Thanks for coming out. Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Who's Next Let's Go show. If you want to hear more, you can catch new episodes on Wednesdays at noon, and all episodes will be on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at the Who's Next Let's Go show.